Most new investors make the same predictable mistakes. When I first started, I made a lot of these mistakes and it cost me time and money. The first mistake is knowing when not to invest. When I was fresh out of college, I had very little money, but I still wanted to save up for a ski trip with my friends. Because ski trips are very expensive, naturally, I wanted to boost my money. So I thought at the time it would be a good idea to invest in the stock market. Well, it was not. It turns out I lost a couple $100, which made it that much more stressful to save for the ski trip. So where did I go wrong? Was it the stock I picked? Was it just the timing? Even though I could have picked a different stock and had a different outcome, the probability of me having success in the short term is just not reliable. Short-term volatility in the stock market is completely unpredictable. So if I have a short-term savings goal where I am absolutely needing a certain amount of money at that time, if I invest in the stock market, I am setting myself up for failure. I would be much better off going with guaranteed income like certificates of deposit or a high yield savings account. By investing with a short-term deadline, I was setting myself up for failure in the stock market. And that's not the only way that you can sabotage your investments up front. The second common mistake that beginner investors commonly make is they put their investments in the wrong account. And this can be a really sneaky mistake because it can go unnoticed for decades. Having your money in the wrong account will cost you money every single year, but you're not actually going to have to pay that price for many, many years down the road. It could be silently building up, growing like a tumor until by the time you realize the problem, it's already too late. I'm talking about taxes. If you invest in a regular brokerage account for retirement, then you're going to keep your money in there for decades. And by the time you're ready to pull it out, you will have racked up tons of capital gains, which means you will have tons of long-term capital gains taxes. Had you put your money in a tax-sheltered retirement account, you could save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement. And you're not going to notice this building up because you only pay taxes when you sell a security in your regular brokerage account. In retirement, if you're making lots of small sells in your brokerage account, each individual sale is not going to be a huge tax burden, but those build up throughout the year. And then if you find yourself needing to buy a new house in retirement and you're forced to sell a lot of your holdings, then you're going to have a massive tax bill waiting for you. The mistake that most new investors make is they don't read up on their tax advantaged accounts available in their country. In the United States, that's the Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k, HSA. These are the accounts that we need to be well versed in so we don't cost ourselves hundreds of thousands of dollars down the road. But that is mainly protecting you from long-term capital gains. Short-term capital gains tax is much worse. And when I first started investing, I paid way too much in short-term capital gains tax, and it made doing my tax returns a nightmare. This next mistake is very common for new investors, and I was guilty of it myself many times. When I bought a stock that went up in value very quickly, I would sell some or all of that holding to lock in those profits. My thought process was like, okay, I was right about this stock. It went up a lot. It's not likely to go up a lot in the near future, so I'm going to sell some of it and put that money in a different company that's likely to go up a lot in the near future. Now, there are many problems with that line of thinking, but one of those problems is I was not considering the short-term capital gains tax. When you sell a stock that you have held for less than a year, you have to pay tax on the gains equal to your income bracket. Now, let's say I'm in the 22% income bracket. That means 22% of my gains were just wiped out. If I would just keep holding that stock, then I would be eventually in the long-term capital gains bracket, which is much, much lower. So whenever I sell a company to buy another, that next company needs to do 22% better than the other one just for me to break even on that decision. And the problem is I'm commonly going for my first choice company, the one that I have the most conviction in. It worked out, it had momentum, and I sell and I put it in my second choice company. And then if that one works, I sell it, put it in my third choice company. So the problem is you're going down the list in order of conviction and you're losing the momentum that a company already gained, and you're having to pay 22% or whatever your income tax bracket is on those gains. On top of sabotaging my returns, I was also sabotaging my tax return because every time I buy and sell a stock, it makes my tax return that much longer. In many ways, investing is like smoking a brisket, touching it too much, pulling it out, putting it back in, too often is more likely to hurt the process. Sometimes you just got to let that thing cook. Most new investors do not properly factor in taxes when they're buying and selling stocks. Now, I mentioned earlier I had several problems with my thought process. We talked about taxes. The other problem that I had, and many new investors have, is unrealistic expectations. I thought I could consistently catch these companies on their way up, timing my purchases at the bottom and then selling after they have gone up. And this is a classic rookie mistake. It sounds good in theory, but in practice, it is impossible to consistently time the market in this way. The reality of the situation is that short-term volatility in the stock market is essentially random, and trying to capitalize on it is more akin to trading or gambling than it is to investing. One of the greatest investors of all time, Warren Buffett, managed to average 20% returns per year investing. Now, me, in my infinite wisdom, when I was 22 years old, I thought that I could get 22% returns every other week just because I had a few good trades where I would get 40% returns or 50% returns in a couple of days, but that is just not the reality of the situation. Having unrealistic expectations set me up to make high risk, high return plays where eventually I had enough bad luck all in a row where I would wipe out my portfolio. I was making decisions to buy and sell a company based on chart movements instead of the quality and the price of the business. The real gains in investing come from keeping your money invested for long periods of time in great companies. But the first step is not keeping your money invested. The first step is finding the great companies. And new investors commonly invest in the wrong companies for the wrong reasons. The fifth mistake that new investors commonly make is not knowing why they bought a stock and not having high conviction in that company. Usually, greed is at the center of these bad investment decisions, or hope, or desire. And I was guilty of those when I was 22 years old as well. I would see a company going up. I would want to get in on that action. I would have the fear of missing out. I would want to buy that stock because I saw other people making money. And then in the short term, if it had a dip, I would sell because I lost my only reason for holding that company in the first place, which was the fact that it was doing well. So even if I somehow managed to invest in a great company, I wouldn't have the conviction to hold it through a market downturn. And swings in the market are a reality of investing. The short-term volatility is completely unpredictable, and you need to have the conviction to hold on to a good investment when you have one. So investing for the right reasons is so important. New investors need to know their why. Why are they buying this company? What are the growth metrics? How does the balance sheet look? The free cash flow, the debt? These are the reasons to buy a company so that you can have the conviction to hold when that stock eventually does go down. You should count on every individual investment that you have to drop by at least 20% at some point when you're holding it. But that is only true for individual stocks. You don't have to invest everything you have into individual stocks. You can also invest in diversified ETFs or mutual funds. The reality is, for me, I like to do a combination of both. In my retirement accounts, I like to invest in diversified ETFs and index funds. And in my brokerage account, I like to pick individual stocks. If you want to see how I calculate the intrinsic value of the companies I invest in, check out this video right here. And I hope to see you there. Cheers.